All right, good morning and welcome to the agenda this morning. Nigeria, a nation blessed with abundant resources and vibrant people, yet plagued by deep-rooted ethical decay, corruption, dishonesty, and a decline in moral values threaten our collective future. But what if the solution lies not just in policies, but in fundamental ethical revolution? I officially welcome you to the agenda on Dominion Brokers Group this morning. I am Chike Ubogu. Today, we confront a pressing question. Can Nigeria survive without an ethical revolution? Let's begin by assessing the current state of our moral fabric. Indian lawyer, politician, social activist, and writer Mahatma Gandhi identified 7 social sins that he believed could lead to societal decline and suffering. These are wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, politics without principle, and worship without sacrifice. Gandhi was very much on point with these submissions, and I believe that is what is plaguing our dear country, Nigeria. Well, joining me this morning to make some sense out of ethical revolution and morality will be my guest this morning. However, before then, let's go on this quick break. And when I come back, I'll be joined by my guest this morning, Adiola Shueton.
No doubt in my mind that with this collection, we are going to set agenda. More importantly, we are going to enforce social ethics. Because part of the problem of Nigeria is that the state is too powerful and the society is too weak. So when the state begins to misbehave, the weak society has no power to hold them into control. So we begin to do social ethicizing. So we not only report, we will not only inform, we will also set agenda.
From that break, before we went on that break, I was talking about ethical revolution in Nigeria, and then I asked a pertinent question. Can Nigeria survive without an ethical revolution? Let's begin by assessing the current state of our moral fabric. Well, to make some sense out of this, joining me this morning is Mr. Adiola Shueton. He is the coordinator, Citizenship Civic Awareness Center. It's also known as the Democracy Vanguard. Good morning. It's good to have you on the agenda this morning, Mr. Shueton.
Yes, my pleasure to be with you.
Right. Yes, Mr. Shweto is joining us via telephone. Well, let's start by assessing the current ethical climate in Nigeria, especially from corruption in government to exam malpractice, cybercrime, and even petty dishonesty in markets. Where did we go wrong, Mr. Shweto?
Well, I think society begins to go down when there is no value, there is no ethics, there is no attributes that are very worthwhile. And such worthwhile values are either destroyed along the way and not passed to the new upcoming generation. So society fails and continue to degenerate when values are defined or expressed in a very bad etiquette way to justify wrongdoings, to justify election rigging, to justify leadership misbehaviors, to justify having different people with shady characters, with identity theft, with certificate scandal, with drug issue, with a lot of antisocial issues as leaders in different aspects of our life, be it politics, religion, families and institutions, even in the community. The society is built on 5 basic institutions: the family, education, of course, religion, government, and the community. So along the line, if there is a stop or a disqualification of individuals or a misinterpretation of this value along the line and is passed from the basic unit, which is the family, to governance, then society is gone. And this is why today, unlike before, there is no society that is free, totally free of corruption. There must be sanctions. Unlike before, I started being involved in social consciousness and political activities, apart from human rights activities later, at the age of 15, 16, wherein we had leaders like Obafemi Awolowo, Aminu Kano, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Ahmadu Bello, and the late Prime Minister. These are leaders across board that you know what they were talking about, you know the values they were pushing, you know their programs, you vote on the basis of your appeal to them or their appeal to you on the basis of certain things. There is no more now. What we have today are leaders so unprincipled, we don't even know the philosophy they are pushing. And all these things goes back to society. Look at the religious body. When we had the conventional bodies like Anglican, Baptist, of course we have the apostolic faith. You know, we have the other Jehovah.
Mr. Shweto,
Yeah,
are you with me? Are you with me, Mr. Shweto?
Emphasis on moral values.
Yeah.
When you go to all these religious centers, you will thinking that you have to do more, thinking that you have to look at yourself again and reflect on your values.
All right, Mr. Adiola Shweto. Yeah, if you can hear me now, we'll be discussing the religious factor and also the political factor. However, let me just ask this. Some may ask, why do we focus on ethics when we have economic problems? But then another question will be, Can Nigeria truly progress without a moral foundation?
Well, I may not get your answer immediately. Let me just go ahead.
Okay, let me ask that question again. Let me ask that question again, Mr. Shweton. I said many would ask, saying, why do we focus on ethics when we have economic problems as a people in Nigeria? But can Nigeria truly progress without a moral foundation?
Well, I think the problem is that it's only for a moral value. We have not the energy buses are totally successful. The generate immunization. But the key actually believe that clean policy as a jungle, where is the people that involved is most of the people survive. And that is not the value. The culture developed on the basis of the organic relationship, man to man, woman to woman, humanity. In those days, we have what we call community parent and guardian. All children belong to the community. And of course, the school people around 9 a.m., another guardian or another parent going on. Everyone knows the truth. In fact, and of course, people are taking that to come back to them because they were parents. It's not a way we are saying about it. In the 70s, after Anglican commercial speaker carried we used to have Mrs. TV. Most of our contemporaries, we met with students from other schools to come and polish in our school and report their to school. They were late. Of course, when you start to have dislocation of values, things where economic continues, because you think that, okay, let everybody find his way, and that is not what government should be all about. Government is first and foremost for the vulnerables. For the vulnerables who are to be big to become useful and discover their potential. Look at Abiola and Abiola. Look at his history. He came from a very humble, poverty-stricken family. He was brilliant, and he went to school almost for free. Situation, and he won a scholarship to go and study abroad free of charge. He came back to become one of the richest people in the world, and also in those policies invested not only in business, also in humanity. Different kinds of people live from his job in media, in telecommunications, in medicine, in education, in sports. That is how to develop a society. And I think that is why the men say we do interest of poverty. So reflect this in for that so that it can be the month of the job, especially what a lot of people. And other times, working because they work. Because on the government day, well, the first is a very good. But the government.
We'll go. Okay, we'll go on this break. We'll go on this break. Mr. Diola Sheton, yeah, just stick around. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, we'll be having more on this conversation. Please don't go away. All right, welcome back from that break. Yes, Mr. Diola Shueton is still my guest on the agenda this morning. We're trying to set an agenda for the society. We try to establish connection with Mr. Shueton in a bit. We'll try to establish that connection in a bit. Well, we've been talking about ethical revolution, and then why do we really need an ethical revolution? You know, some people have argued that laws and policies are enough, but why then do we need an ethical revolution? Right? We're trying to establish contact again with Mr. Diola Shueton. Hello, Mr. Shueton, are you there? Okay, we'll get back to him again. Well, another question is our politics not without principle in Nigeria? Well, the political class adopted the Machiavellian principle of the end justifies the means to capture power. If you look at the political sphere, you understand what I mean. They keep campaigning on the same theme of providing us light and water, roads and bridges, schools and hospitals, security and welfare. Yet, none of these campaign promises have been fulfilled. Were it not so, Nigeria should not be in the class of countries with a low human development index that she currently occupies. All right, let's get more details on this. Nigerian politicians, like many other counterparts across the globe, indulge in personal aggrandizement. They loot our commonwealth and plunge us into deprivation. They loosen their belts over their pot bellies while asking us to tighten ours. To Nigerian politicians, service delivery is a mere hollow ritual, a cash phrase. While they have signaled or signally failed to deliver on their last campaign promises, they have activated the machinery to capture power in 2027, editing the year 2026 in the political calendar of Nigeria, just 2 years into this current government. What a special breed of people who are perpetually preoccupied with the next election rather than the next generation. Well, 6 years ago, precisely August 27, 2018, renowned lawyer and anti-corruption gaffer, Professor Patrice Lumumba, addressed Nigerian political class. Let's get to listen to Professor Patrice Lumumba.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, when you work in the public service, how is it that you cannot take a little out of the public service? And I told him, you are not a fish, and if you are a fish, close your mouth when you are swimming. And he also told me, how can you be tethered around a tree and you do not graze on the grass that is around there? I said, you are not a cow, and even if you are, remember that the grass does not belong to you. There is no shortage of attempts at rationalizing corruption in Africa, and there is no way in which we are going to fight corruption without changing people's behavior. My prescription is that we must realize that those who engage in corruption belong to a different cadre of people, and that they must never be owned. The culture in many African countries that if a thief is from your tribe, you say, yes, we know he's a thief, but he's our thief. Must stop. This ownership of thieves, because they come from our ethnic groups, or they come from our social class, or they come from our religious circle, is one of the things that undermine in many parts of Africa. We must therefore create an environment where those who engage in graft do not have places of refuge in their ethnic groups. We must not create an environment where when we punish people because they have engaged in graft, we then give them protection because they come from our tribes. It is a problem that is going to persist in a country such as Nigeria, but it is only through the legislature, which comprises people from all parts of Nigeria, that we can ensure that these thieves are not given the oxygen to breathe so that they can suffocate through their iniquities. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight against corruption is one which one can talk about for a long time. But when one is speaking in the presence of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, one ought to measure one's words. One only ought to say the things that ought to be said. And therefore, as I draw to the conclusion of my presentation, there are a number of things that I think are critical in the fight against corruption in the manner that it has been demonstrated in different parts of the world. The first thing that we must do is that we must strengthen institutions. Institutions are at the very heart of the sustained fight against corruption. Your President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, is on the right path. He has given us a clarion call. He is now recognized the world over as one of the chief fighters against corruption. But I can tell you that no matter how well-intentioned he is not going to succeed unless you support him as the legislators. He is not going to succeed unless the institutions are strengthened. And in any event, the maximum he can stay in office is 2 terms. And let me tell you one thing about those who engage in graft. They have the patience that is amazing. If they can sleep quietly for 8 years, only to emerge as greater monsters in the 9th year. And therefore, what we must do is to create institutions that defy time. Those institutions must be institutions that are recognized by the law. If it is the institution of parliament, it must stay strong. If it is the institution of the judiciary, it must be purged of the men and women who engage in graft. If it is the institution of the executive, it must be strengthened. If it is the EFCC, it must be strengthened. If it is the civil society, it must be strengthened. It is only institutions that defy time that will ensure that we succeed in the fight against corruption. The second thing that we must do is that we must have a raft of laws which ensure that those who want to do things that are detrimental to the society are punished, and punished swiftly in accordance with the law, and they are not allowed to be unleashed to the unsuspecting public. And I am happy to note that our representatives from Europe are here. For a long time, Africans who stole from Africa had safe havens in Europe. It is my joy that even Europe now is beginning to close the doors. Under the World Bank, we have mutual legal assistance if we can ensure that those avenues are closed so that they cannot keep their money away. What amazes me is that these individuals kept their ill-gotten wealth in numbered accounts. Not their wives, not their husbands knew. So that when they died, this money was enjoyed by other civilizations. We must now ensure that those who serve in the public service do not hold accounts outside of this country. If they
All right, welcome back from that clip there. It was courtesy Nigerian Television Authority there, and it was in 2018 when the then Director General of the Kenyan Law School, Professor Patrice Lumumba, was speaking, addressing the political class in Nigeria about corruption and moral values. Well, we have back on the line Mr. Diola Shweton. Yes, it's good to have you back, Mr. Shweton. And before the connection went off, we were discussing something, saying some have also argued that laws and policies are enough for us to build a society. If that is the case, why then do we need an ethical revolution?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, the issue of corruption should be understood. It's not a moral issue. It has become a class thing, a social thing that is almost legalized and moralized by the people. Because when you are taking the power in Nigeria today, the amount, through the amount that candidates have to pay for their parties, the amount they have to spend to campaign to have office, it's not enough to have excluded people who are not corrupt. So you don't come out with that when you are running to several billions of Nigeria, just because you want to become the president and president. And you are not for the Christmas. Even for the Christmas nowadays, makes us not to talk as somebody who says, clear. And specifically, I don't want to do that. Sponsoring the whole party, sponsoring candidates. So that itself is corruption. So our politics has encouraged corruption. Of course, the processes of encouraged corruption, where there you have to grant election officers and security officers, you have to invite us, you have to get people to go and see there and stand ballot box. These are manifestations of corruption. And what we can do is, of course, go back to the basics. Why are we not having retired principals, retired masters, average lawyers, average journalists, becoming governors like before? Somebody who was a journalist. Jack Conde was a journalist publisher. Everybody was a lawyer. These are not millionaires, these are not billionaires. So because of the basis of the legacy they are spending and credibility they have, people go search for them. The same thing applies to the world. I mean, the panel was probably a compliment, a common man in terms of what we have. Look at Balewa. After spending the years as Prime Minister, there was a picture of him where a white man visited the village with Bauchi. The man was sitting in the house just like any other mala can do. So these pictures and this what we saw there enhance many youth to believe that corruption and motivation is not our politics. That is about people coming to represent certain interests that you like, and you vote for them. I voted for Awolowo. I didn't know him. I only read some of his when I was secondary school, particularly in my early life. And all these voice of reason, voice of thinking. And I started appreciating the law. The first time I went to a campaign was in Asetala. That was the first time I met Awolowo campaign. It's not like the other Banjo, Abdul Ali, these politicians. And the man was giving us statistics about his free education. How many people they are expecting in secondary school, how many people they are expecting that they train in teacher training colleges, how many people you go to university. And it was like I was in a classroom. By the time I was trekking back in my place in Missouri, which is almost 10 kilometers away to our place, one of us trek back. I saw myself as an ambassador of that party because of what I have. And I started campaigning for them. I didn't collect money from anybody. I didn't. And of course, we are together in many places. As a media man, I've interviewed some of these elites. It's not that they are saying, but they didn't consider corruption as a value. They didn't consider corruption as a religion, as a faith. No. How many of these politicians now, do you know what they are talking about? How many of them are publishing papers about their thoughts? This one is in this party today, moves tomorrow. When Bonnie has finished, you move from here, a person can move to 3-4 parties. It's not really the constitution. It's not really the case. You now want to see people who only have money, that can speak, that can abuse. When you go to their rallies today, what do they say? What do politicians say? They bring the PCRP, pop singer, they bring so many artists. They dance, you dance, everybody dance, no messages is passed, no promises were made, everybody go home.
Mr. Shweto, if you can hear me, I just want to ask you, since we have laws and policies, do we still need any ethical revolution anymore?
What do you say?
Did you get me? I said, since we have laws and policies, do we still need ethical revolution?
Well, politics can be a source of ethical revolution. If laws are obeyed, if ethical are pushed, if progress were approved, and of course, if individuals are credible, if you know you are broken for a few, that's all because here, the message is given unethical. After people be campaigning, and the talking the people say that well, it's okay. Look at the children. So ethical revolution is not an abstract. Ethical revolution is what we see as philosophy. That look, society must move forward along a good direction. And to move along that line, our words, our habits, our attitudes, our interaction, both interpersonal, intercommunal, one-on-one, governmental, must show this ethics. Ethical revolution cannot just be a wish without being practicalized. Look at what is happening today. Even in our policies, look at what is happening today. Others have become TikTok content producer. Others are being slapped. Others are going to slap people. These are not representative of any ownership ethics. So when things are going bad, you see one other, you take a spray, a tailored piece of note of naira to an artist. You are seeing others smoking, God of course smoking in their head. These are not our tradition. These are not ethics. Ethics is global. We know peace when we see peace. We all know. We know position when we see one. We all know. So because society has been making to various people, hunger, unemployment, and a lot of other things. So we have redefined values wrongly because of what we are seeing. Tell me today, our youth, even when they are preparing for exam, the exams will not be properly conducted. Most parents are encouraging, or let me say many parents are encouraging their people to cheat. Many schools, including schools owned by missionaries and people who call themselves men of God or men of Allah, all schools, those who are leading those examination bodies are not doing the right thing. So these are not. I wrote my exam in the early 80s. I wrote my in the late 70s, 79. So what are you talking about? There was no digital, there was no intercommunication. We used post office. It worked. I do not even know where that office works. My addition letter was sent to me by post office. Through post office, I got it. I did not even know where it was. I went there and I registered. I didn't know anybody. But the first day I entered Ife to register, University of Ife there, to register was the first time I was stepping. But today you have parents following their students to midnight exams, to early Momo exams. For what? I was an orphan when I entered the university. No parents follow me. Today you have parents following their pupils because of different distances these young people are sent to. That is not practice. You are teaching them that society is not ready for them. And that is why some of them will just finish Anjapa to become Shagala even in funny countries like Iraq, Oman, Iran. So these are destruction of our values.
Okay, sir.
You can tell me somebody who went through the desert, he's been made to be wide already. So it's not thinking of Nigeria. And you can't think of Nigeria when Nigeria is not thinking about you.
Mr. Diola Shweto.
That Noah and other platforms should start to look into beyond government propaganda.
Okay, Mr. Shweto, before we go ahead, there's this other question I really want to ask. I've been itching to ask this. Now we've looked at all the indices. How then do we spark this revolution? Is it through education? Is it through policy? Or is it through grassroots activism? How do we spark up this revolution, ethical revolution?
In this question of where does the fish start the death point? Of course, is there. Yes, people will talk of a bottom to head situation that works at the family level. So when it comes to government, look, when those military guys came in, I think in the 70s, they talk of no profile, and they were riding 504. It doesn't mean that there were no SUV cars in those days. And you can see, only administrators were driving 504. The president was driving 504. Look at the Benz. The Amrutala was shot dead in. Very simple Benz in those days. Simple Benz. So it's not that they don't have Chevrolet, they cannot get Rolls Royce. So when the head is straight, it's not spoiled. People will look at it. Take for instance today, if Tinubu decides to have low profile, it's not going with 100 cars convoy, it's not getting necessary planes, jets. All the ministers will follow him. We now have ministers riding in Rolls Royce. So how do you want a youth that want to go to politics to feel when he knows that he can go there and behave anyhow? So it's about the leaders showing example. The idea that they come from society is only not totally correct. That way, because you produce them, then you don't expect them to be better. They forgot that when they were campaigning, they have it in mind that go to make society better. And when you go to make society better, you first of all make yourself better as good examples. Look at governors. Governors start donating and start building, and they put their names. You don't have a situation where the governor will build school and he stay with you everywhere. He will buy buses, he stay with you at the buses. And you start with all this privatization of governance, all the school that Conde built in Lagos. Maybe after he died, that some of these places were named after him. There was none. I was at the solar housing estate built. I was shocked that if these people can do this in the 70s, then in the early 80s, then there's a problem of governance in Nigeria. You go there, see the expanse land, low-cost houses built for civil servants. So you don't need to steal. How do people go to steal? When you cannot afford education for your children, when you cannot afford houses, when you cannot afford cars, when you cannot afford simple basic things of life. So when you get to public office, you want to go straight there. So you have to, if you appeal to the leaders, no matter how rotten society is, show example that can be better. You don't need to say that by words. It's by action. It's by action. If today the president reduces his convoy, reduces his legitimacy in office, all governors will do that. And of course, ministers will do that. And of course, the citizens will start doing that. Those who are in different groups will start doing that because they know that you can be caught. But when everybody is loose, and you want a youth, a student, down there to look at you.
Okay.
There was a time I was doing a campaign for electoral enlightenment, and I invited people to do our one-man, one-woman seminar. Then there was this my cousin. I saw him, he came as one of our table men. The second day I saw him with Amusu cap. I said, are you not a coach? I said, yes. He just had the OMP. That was good. Then what will be your value? I want to go and make money. That's why I put on Amusu cap, because that's the latest. That was when Amusu was couple. I smiled. I smiled. Well, look, you have forgotten that you have to define what you want to go out in politics. I didn't even know. I had four guys staying in between sometimes, and these are some of them are going. I asked them.
Mr. Shweto. Mr. Shweto.
Who Awolowo was.
Yeah.
So when you destroy your history, you destroy your values, you destroy your story, you destroy your ethics.
Mr. Shweto, because of our time, I want us to delve lastly into the religious part of it. As the supposed moral compass of our society, we have religious and traditional leaders who must purge them. They're supposed to purge themselves of all traits of spiritual corruption and even speak truth to power or to their congregation by making them live by the core values of their religion. However, they are shrinking in that responsibility at the moment. They have joined the rat race for the get-rich-quick syndrome. Don't you see this as an unhealthy and unwholesome act? And then should they be, like I said, the first target, now that we have so many churches and mosques everywhere? The change should begin from these people. They must retrace their steps and live by the holy grail so that they can lead society right. Are they lacking in this aspect, Mr. Shweto? Just in 1 minute.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the people always forget when they read that Judas Iscariot had to test Jesus so that it can be identified to his tormentors, so his arrest. How and why? Because Jesus was just one among equals. That was why they did not identify him. He was dressing like his disciples, sitting together. So it's not easy to identify. Tell me any church you go today or any mosque you visit today that you will not know who is the Jew, who is the cinema, or their father. The authority, the ethnicity around him alone will show you that this is the man. So, from that little example, it shows that what many, if not most, of our leaders are doing today are not godly. It's pure commerce. That is why miracles everywhere. People sell river. Somebody was selling skirt, and on their way of women, they said, Jesus blessed. People now tell us they visited heaven, they had pictures with God, heaven visited God, visited them, had people better. These are not the value of religion. We are seeing imams alleged on social media as investing money against 419 land. And these are not supposed to be. In those days, you can project how a bishop builds his own house, how a city man house looks like. Bungalow, upstairs, no good friends, no police, no soldier, no DSS, no bus. Now, they just need that move in combat of security. So these are not good examples. So the tax, they are destroying the ethics.
Okay.
Unlike those days,
Okay.
you walk straight to a bishop's house.
Yeah.
You walk straight to city man house. Because they are not really under threat. Because they are not engaging and living above their congregation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what happens?
Mr. Shweto,
okay.
I'm afraid, Mr. Shweto, I'm afraid, unfortunately, time is not our friend this time. But thank you for featuring on the agenda. Well, we'll continue this discussion. We'll have you again to have a more robust discussion. Hopefully, when you are in town, we'll have you in the studio for you to, delve more into this and see how we can chart a way forward, correct societal ills, and then also reconfigure morality in the society. Well, for Nigeria's political class, they should allow for credible elections and stop undermining the electoral process through violence and financial inducement. The media, civil society, and government information and orientation agencies should re-strategize to sensitize people about living rights and nation building. The call is clear. Nigeria's survival depends on an ethical awakening, not just for leaders, but from all of us. The revolution starts with you. Will you be a part of it? Let's keep the conversation going. Do follow us on all our social media platforms. On YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is at Dominion Broadcast. And on the app X is at Dominion Cast. Do visit our website at www.dominion.org.ng. My name is Chike Ubogu. I want to tell you to stay ethical and stay hopeful. Bye for now.